Just weeks before Virginia's pivotal 2025 Attorney General election, Jay Jones, the Democratic candidate, was rocked by the public release of violent, disturbing text messages he'd sent years earlier. The revelation came at a critical moment, threatening to upend not only his campaign, but also the broader political landscape in Virginia. The leak, which surfaced on October 3rd, sent shockwaves through Virginia politics and forced voters to reconsider a candidate once seen as a rising star. The news dominated headlines, with pundits and citizens alike questioning how such messages could have remained hidden for so long. Instead of debating policy, the campaign was suddenly about character, judgment, and the boundaries of acceptable political discourse. The focus shifted from issues like criminal justice reform and public safety to the personal conduct of those seeking office. The timing was brutal. Early voting was already underway, leaving many voters blindsided. Some Virginians had already cast their ballots, while others were left scrambling to reassess their choices in light of the controversy. Jones, a former delegate from Norfolk, was challenging Republican incumbent Jason Miyares in what had been a competitive and closely watched race. The scandal threatened to overshadow months of campaigning and hard-fought debates. The texts shifted the conversation from legal policy to questions of temperament and trust. Voters and analysts alike wondered whether Jones could recover from such a damaging revelation. Leaders from both parties were forced to confront the growing problem of hostile language in politics. The incident sparked renewed debate about the standards to which public officials should be held, and whether past mistakes should define a candidate's future. This story is about more than one candidate's mistake. It's about the standards we expect from those who seek to lead. It's a reminder that the choices we make at the ballot box reflect our values as a community. By examining this crisis, we gain insight into the challenges facing our political system and the importance of public trust. In moments like these, the integrity of our leaders and the resilience of our democracy are truly put to the test. The controversy erupted suddenly, sending shockwaves through Virginia's political circles and beyond. It all began when texts Jay Jones sent in August 2022 to Republican Delegate Carrie Coyner were leaked to the public, quickly making headlines. These weren't ordinary political disagreements or heated policy debates. The messages were graphic, violent, and shockingly personal, targeting a fellow lawmaker in a way that stunned even seasoned political observers. In one message, Jones wrote, "3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot." The reference was chilling, drawing a direct line between a Virginia politician and 2 of history's most notorious dictators. He then escalated, adding, "Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head," making the threat explicit and impossible to ignore. By placing Todd Gilbert, then Speaker of the House, in the company of infamous mass murderers, Jones crossed a line from political rhetoric into language that many saw as threatening and deeply inappropriate. He didn't stop there. Jones followed up with, "Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time," doubling down on the violent imagery. Coyner, clearly disturbed, responded, "It really bothers me when you talk about hurting people or wishing death on them. It isn't okay." Her reply reflected the discomfort many felt reading the exchange. But Jones brushed off her concerns, replying, "Lol. Okay," with a tone that seemed to trivialize the seriousness of his words. The texts, first reported by the National Review and quickly amplified by Republican groups, ignited a political firestorm that dominated headlines for days. For many Virginians, the idea that a would-be attorney general could write such things, even in private, was deeply troubling and raised alarms about his judgment. The messages sparked immediate questions about Jones's temperament, his respect for democratic norms, and his ability to serve in public office. The damage was only compounded by his dismissive response to Coyner's discomfort, leaving many to wonder about the true character behind the candidate's public persona. The texts were sent in August 2022, after Jones had resigned from the House to prepare for his statewide run. Though he was a private citizen at the time, he remained a prominent political figure. Coyner, the recipient, was a former colleague who immediately expressed her discomfort. When the texts leaked in October 2025, Coyner confirmed their authenticity and called the language disturbing and disqualifying. The leak was timed for maximum impact, just as early voting was underway, with over 280,000 ballots already cast. The story dominated the campaign's final weeks, forcing Jones onto the defensive. While Jones's team called the leak a political attack, he admitted responsibility for his words. Voters now faced a dilemma. Was this a fatal character flaw, or a serious mistake for which Jones had shown real remorse? The private nature of the conversation complicated the debate, but for many, the content was impossible to ignore. The incident became a referendum on character, accountability, and the relevance of private words in public life. J. Jones responded quickly, issuing a public apology the very same day the story broke, hoping to address the controversy head-on before it could spiral further out of control. He expressed deep shame and regret, saying, "Reading back those words made me sick to my stomach. I never imagined I would be the source of such pain and disappointment. I am embarrassed, ashamed, and sorry." His voice trembled as he spoke, making it clear that the weight of his actions was not lost on him. Jones took full ownership, making no attempt to deny or downplay the severity of his language. He stood before the cameras, accepting responsibility in front of the public and the press. He also reached out to Todd Gilbert and his family to apologize directly, acknowledging the personal harm caused and expressing his hope for forgiveness, even if it would take time. While Jones noted the political timing of the leak, he didn't use it as an excuse, reiterating, "I can only take full accountability and offer my sincere apology." He emphasized that no matter the circumstances, his words were inexcusable. His strategy was clear: accept blame, show contrition, and hope voters would see his remorse as genuine. He made a point to meet with supporters and critics alike, listening to their concerns. The apology was both public and personal, aimed at repairing trust and demonstrating accountability. Jones knew that regaining credibility would require more than just words. It would take consistent action. Whether it would be enough to save his campaign remained uncertain. The fallout was immediate, and his team braced for the impact on the upcoming election. The incident forced Jones to confront the consequences of his words, both as a candidate and as a person. He spent long hours reflecting on his actions and the values he wanted to represent. The public was left to judge whether his response matched the gravity of his offense, and whether his efforts to make amends would be enough to restore their trust in him. The reaction was swift and bipartisan. Leaders from both parties condemned Jones's words. Governor Glenn Youngkin and Republican candidate Winsome Earl Sears called the texts wholly disqualifying and demanded Jones drop out. Delegate Carrie Coyner, who received the texts, confirmed their authenticity and urged Jones to end his campaign. The condemnation wasn't limited to Republicans. Democratic gubernatorial candidate Abigail Spanberger expressed her disgust and demanded accountability. Other Democrats, including Ghazala Hashmi, echoed the call for responsibility and denounced violent rhetoric. The chorus of criticism from Jones's own party was especially damaging, signaling that this was about principle, not partisanship. The only notable silence came from incumbent Attorney General Jason Miyares, who let the bipartisan outrage speak for itself. The unified response underscored the seriousness of the issue and left Jones politically isolated. The message was clear: violent language has no place in public life, regardless of party. As the fallout grew, pressure mounted for Jones to withdraw from the race. Republican leaders and Delegate Coyner led the calls, arguing that his words disqualified him from serving as Attorney General. Democrats condemned the language, but stopped short of demanding he drop out, wary of the political consequences with early voting underway. Removing Jones from the ticket would have been complicated and could have handed the race to the Republican incumbent. Despite the intense pressure, Jones chose to stay in the race, betting that his apology and platform could outweigh the damage. His decision set up a final month dominated by questions of forgiveness, accountability, and fitness for office. The controversy became the defining issue of the campaign, forcing voters to make a difficult judgment. The outcome would hinge on whether Virginians believed in second chances, or saw the offense as unforgivable. This episode is a stark reminder of the power of language in politics. For public figures, even private words can have public consequences. The Attorney General is tasked with upholding the law. Violent rhetoric undermines that trust. Jones's texts showed how quickly inflammatory language can erode political discourse and damage relationships. Leaders must set a positive example, focusing on policy, not personal destruction. In the digital age, every word can be saved, shared, and scrutinized years later. Careful, respectful communication isn't weakness. It's a sign of the maturity and judgment required to lead. The lesson is clear. In public life, every word matters. The Jones controversy unfolded amid rising anger and political violence nationwide. Recent years have seen a surge in aggressive rhetoric and real-world attacks, creating a tense atmosphere. Jones's texts fit into this troubling pattern, fueling fears about the health of American democracy. Studies show political violence isn't confined to one side. Both left and right have contributed to the problem. The bipartisan condemnation of Jones's language reflected a growing consensus. This trend must be reversed. Violent rhetoric, no matter the source, threatens everyone and erodes the foundations of democracy. The incident forced a conversation about the lines we draw in political speech. The hope is that moments like this can serve as a wake-up call for civility and respect in public life. The J. Jones story offers hard lessons about accountability, words, and public trust. Jones took responsibility and apologized, but the damage was done. The incident is a reminder that words, especially in the digital age, can resurface with lasting consequences. For public figures, private conversations are never truly private. The public has a right to judge character, and past words are often the clearest window into it. Ultimately, voters must decide, is a sincere apology enough, or is the offense unforgivable? The controversy reshaped the race and forced a reckoning with the standards we expect from our leaders. Whatever the outcome, this moment will be remembered as a test of accountability and the power of language in politics.